Okay, what am I going to talk about today? Well, let me pour my coffee here. Oh, darn it. Hold on a minute. There we go. Yeah. Gotta have a good cup of coffee. There we are. Okay. I, well, it has been brought to my attention by someone that is a Susan Alamo supporter. Uh, this particular individual was not one of her well-favored minions. Nevertheless, was very much in support of Susan Alamo's acts or actions. And what he told me was I should not be talking about Susie like this because she's dead. She's not here to defend herself. What a disgrace. I'm talking about somebody that's dead and she's not here to defend herself. Now, what I have to say, first I would like to say to all those who somehow have associated themselves with the Alamo Church and they weren't there way back when Susie was alive. For them to ask this question, it's a fair question. I agree to that. They should, if that's a question if they want to know, I think they deserve an answer. However, for all those that were there at the time and knew Susan Alamo, and especially for the ones that were pretty much close to her quite a bit of the time, for them to ask that question, I find it a bit repugnant, to be quite honest, because they knew full well, what was going on. But since they were supporters and Susie had probably greased their palms quite a bit with the hard-working bucks of the Bakersfield brothers that were working and turning over their whole checks for the sake of the gospel, is what they believed. I have to, I'm going to explain all this, why I am talking about Susan Alamo, and why I feel like I have every right to. Okay? So, let's get started here. Years ago, when Susan Alamo was alive, she occasionally, quite often actually, would gather to herself a bunch of her minions or her well-favored supporters, and which was quite most of the church actually, but some were not as welcome as others. And she had her favorites. Anyway, she would gather together these bunch of maybe 1, 2, 3 van loads of individuals, maybe more, and invite them up to her house, her mansion, and they would have a discussion. And many times, this discussion involved the destruction of the character of somebody in the church. They would laugh, make fun of certain people in the church. They would degrade them. She had issues with them that she should have confronted them with and never did. And this went on for quite a while, and I found out later that I was one of the pieces of her conversation. She didn't like me. She had an issue. Okay? Behind my back, she was gossiping, saying things about me that I had no clue. I found out way later. Okay? So, from the time all this stuff started to the time she died, she had about 12 to 15 years to confront me with any issue she had about me that she had questions about. And she definitely had no business tearing down my character and laughing and making fun and destroying my character in front of everybody in the church. According to the Bible, if you have an issue with somebody, first you go to them in private. And you take the Scriptures Bible with you. And you use the Bible to make your case. Okay? And that don't work, then you bring them before the church and do the same thing. You bring the Bible and use the Bible to make your case. All right? You don't go behind their back and discuss them and tear down their character in front of everybody, and the person that you're talking about has no clue whatsoever. Okay? So, she had plenty of time to confront me, anything she had. She did it the way the Bible said. Now, later on, I started getting some kind of feeling that there was stuff going on behind my back. I wasn't sure. I was asking questions. Nobody would come clean on that, especially Minions, okay? As it is later on, years later, they said that was just the devil making me read and pray and seek the Lord just to make Susie look like a liar. So whatever she said, I still don't know. But nevertheless, it was all behind my back, okay? And she had 15 years to straighten that out before she died. On top of that, when I started getting a feeling that there was something going on, I tried to confront her one time to find out what the deal was, or is there something going on, and she avoided me. Why didn't you stop her and tell her to get us up there so we can tell our side of the story? Huh? Why didn't you do that? Now, you can't answer that question, can you? Yeah, I didn't think so. Because I know how it plays out, though. Well, Susan Alamo had a special anointing. Whatever came out of her mouth was from the Lord. And you don't question that. No, whatever's in the Bible is from the Lord. I'm not sure about people. See, people, that right away, that's influenced with personal feelings and personal dislikes. So you have personal conjecture, and that's why we have the Bible. That should solve the problems, but no. So, all you people out there that know Susan Alamo and want to ask this question, why I'm talking about her after she's dead, I think you're really repugnant. Yeah, that's right. Because you know what went on in that church. You know what went on behind my back and some others, and you're silent about it because you don't want your little Susie to look like a liar, right? Okay. Well, anyway, that's what I have to say, and I might move on here to a little more. Yeah, I think I will. Every so often, something happens, something takes place in a conversation with me and somebody else. It has nothing to do with people in the church. But a situation will take place, and it'll remind me of something that took place in the church for some reason. Like, for example, years ago, after my wife was out of the hospital, she had a brain hemorrhage. Her nurse came over, one of her nurses came over to visit her to see how she was doing. We got to talking, and she told us, she says, I'm just curious about one thing. Before you two got married, did anybody try and step in and stop it? I says, no, as we were married about 2 weeks after we met, if there was anybody like that, they never really had a chance, And she went on to tell me that her and her husband met in high school, and they were dating, and there were people in school, students, trying to break them up. They were saying, well, she's too good for him, and she shouldn't be allowed to marry him. They shouldn't be allowed to be together because one's too good for the other, one's not good enough for the other, and blah, 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 blah. I thought to myself, wow, that sounds like Susan Alamo and her minions. I thought to myself, so I told her, I said, you know what? That sounds just like the Tony and Susan Alamo Christian Foundation. That's exactly what Susie used to do. That's what I told her. I explained to her about the church. And then another time, a couple blocks away was one of those discount stores. It was close, so I frequented that store quite often when I needed something. And I'd go in there, and there was young people running the place. Usually it was about 4 or 5 employees in there, mostly young ladies, one guy. And I'd go in there sometimes, and it wasn't very busy, and they were standing around the cash register just talking, actually gossiping. So I I brought my stuff up to the counter to pay for it, and here's this conversation going on. What they did, they were talking about two people that were dating in school, and they mentioned their names and said, well, he shouldn't be allowed to date with her because he's not good enough for her. And I thought to myself, wow, there's another one that sounds like the Alamo church. You know what? That's exactly what went on in that church around Susie. And if anybody's going to tell me I'm a liar, you're a liar, because I'll tell you why. I'm talking to the Alamos now. I'll tell you why, because I worked around the sisters down in Tommy's Candy Building. And I heard the conversations with the sisters down. I heard them talking. And that's about the same thing I heard from them come out of their mouths. Yeah. See, I remember one sister saying, well, Susie said have a nice day, animals.